Hey, aloha, and welcome to Korean Natural Farming Office Hour with me, Dr. Drake. And want to thank you for tuning in here today, taking time out of your Sunday to be here, or maybe you're watching this later. But thanks for being part of the natural farming community and making it happen. And people from all over the world, what's up from Tanzania? Yeah, Post Up Media, how you, man, Panama, tuning in here. So before we get into any natural farming, answering questions, going through the goods here, let's jump in and get some little bit of higher wisdom here, which today is the receptive. And it says, bear with things as the earth bears with us, by yielding, by accepting, by nourishing. Kun, the receptive, is the complement to Ching, the creative, the dark which is illuminated by the light, the earth which receives the blessings of heaven, the vessel into which nourishment flows. This is a time to follow rather than lead, to assist rather than initiate, to listen rather than talk. Redevote yourself to the cultivation of modesty, receptivity, and gentleness now. And let go of the concerns about the conduct of others or the progress of your worldly ambitions. The wisdom of cultivating receptivity cannot be overstated. Receptivity is the rich earth without which the creative cannot take root in our lives. This fundamental hexagram serves as a strong encouragement to you to concentrate on your ability to nourish, to support, to accept, to work without desiring recognition, and to follow the guidance of the sage. You can benefit greatly in a period like this from time spent in solitude. In quietness, we have the opportunity to focus on the purification of our hearts and minds. It is a good time to ask oneself, am I sincerely pursuing good for its own sake, or do I have a hidden agenda? If so, detach from it and return to the path of independence and balance. Through humility and openness, we become receptive to the assistance of the higher power. So yeah, getting that fundamental hexagram there, earth over earth, Kun, the receptive. It's always a friend of mine, and I always like that one part of like, are we truly doing it for ourselves, or do we have a hidden agenda? And I always think of that Limp Bizkit thing. I put my agenda in a blender. I don't know. Let's see. It's lighting up here. It helps. I don't think so. It's creating interference on this line. Oh, being receptive. Trying to learn. Get better with each other. And, I'd say this is one of the main things of natural farming versus other farming practices, is that we tend to be much more receptive to what's going on versus trying to like assert our will and saying like just broadcasting the same chemicals each time. And, it's more about tuning in, seeing, what needs to be done and what's out there. Yeah. And this shirt, I see the mycelium. It's my mom gave me this shirt for Christmas, so it's a new shirt. I don't often wear new shirts. Almost all my clothes are old and pretty tattered and torn and stuff. I always think about where the the cotton that went into it, the agricultural processes that were there to prepare that, and maybe sourcing great stuff like good bamboo shirts and things like that would be a good idea. And as I diversify out my wardrobe, I try to do that. But also just, one of the best things for conservation is to reuse and just continue to use something. So it's always nice to get a new shirt though. So yeah, good to see all you guys here. Yeah, being receptive, learning. Speaking of today, for me being a little bit more receptive, I did receive some actual really cool inspiration from folks this week. So let me pull that up here and just share a bit of this with you, because I'm just going to share the photos and not necessarily the emails themselves. But let me get this up here and pull this up and pull up this image and just check this out. So this came in from Stonemason. He's he's been tuned in a whole bunch, and he just shared, you can see the email behind here. Hopefully you can't read it too well, but he put in, he was just thanking me for teaching him natural farming and to put kind of the love into it. But look at his sweet little IMO kit here that he has going. It's cool to see this, this small little spray bottle so he can spray things. You got his structure in there, the calcium reproduction, all this little kit of just all these natural farming solutions that this is enough to do his whole farm here. So, and then I thought this image he sent me, also is cool. Like, look at this. He took like this, 25 gallon or maybe 15 gallon, it looks like 15 or 25 gallon, they usually sell these for like ATVs, put it on this little wagon, hook this battery up to it, and now he can just drag this around and have this, this cable that comes out with this little 12-volt pump here and spray his whole garden, and made it super easy to do and to get these KNF solutions out there. So something like this for all of us to have, little simple solution, drag it around, do what you need. How cool is that, So anyway, want to thank him for sharing those photos there. And then he sent me this whole thing here. Like, this is his sunflowers coming in. He was just saying, like, look how big this leaf is. I mean, it's just huge coming in. Of, maybe it's the variety, but it's probably also like, look how healthy and waxy this is. You can tell he's been spraying natural farming on this. It's not even any bug holes or anything, and it's just, look at this, just giant, and also, this praying mantis that's there. It's so cool to be, using fertilizers that aren't going to kill nature at the same time. So it's like you're putting out things, but you're actually increasing the insect life without causing pest problems. A praying mantis like this is going to eat all the other, bugs that would cause problems for you. And if you're using like pesticides and things to kill it, you're also going to kill these guys. And so it's just, it's just amazing to see here. And look at this sweet marigolds, and looks like an eggplant, just growing here. And also notice how much, he's using his grass clippings here, which really helps to keep the IMOs in there. And just a really great example of what he's doing here with this. And look at that huge tomato. Must be like a beefsteak tomato, and does have a little bit of cracking, so maybe a little bit more calcium on that. But I also have grown a fair amount of beefsteaks in my life, and I know that they do crack. So maybe you could avoid that. But look how huge that is. I'm sure he has huge hands. He's a stonemason, so got to have big hands to be a good construction worker guy, and doing the good work for the people and our land and stuff. But let's see here. You got another picture of just that, it's this giant thing, and I'm pretty sure that's his wife there standing next to just, look at this sunflower coming out, and it's, you got these nice rocks here where it's, and he's in Indiana, so and you can see his garden in the back there, and mulch this area, got this giant sunflower cranking up, but just look how healthy it is and vibrant, and that's not even any other fertilizer. I'm pretty sure he's using just straight up KNF. So And then let's see here, what else? Look at these nice comfreys he got coming in. Um, it's so nice to see other folks' gardens. And look at these little flowers. All that, like, I think those are what, zinnias and stuff, and all these coming in. Just, I mean, look how beautiful that is. And you can use all this without, without poisoning your kids, and you're making the ecosystem better. They're talking about nitrogen fertilizer up in Netherlands right now, and using this, you're actually sequestering the nitrates and turning the nitrogen cycle into beautiful stuff. So just super cool to see of what he's doing here. And since it's receptive here, I may as well just continue to kind of receive this beauty here of, look at this whole garden planted out, these sunflowers coming in, just amazing, beautiful around his whole, around his house there. And these little raised garden beds, they're so cute, and nice firewood. And, just growing up, and what a wonderful thing to help folks do is to learn about these different methods that empower them to really be doing what they need. And here you can see his these little like things, I guess it's to keep the frost and the bugs away early, but growing this. And then he has this 3/4 acre pond out here where he's growing fish, and into this pond he's been putting in the lactobacillus into it to clean it up and keep the algae underway. But just look at these greens, what does it say? I think it's lettuces in there, and kind of looks like some arugula type of stuff, and some nice tomatoes, and all these just, what a beautiful thing. And then he has this area mulch so he doesn't have to, mow that. And, it's, I was kind of relating with Sue's earlier a little bit about, in Hawaii, this type of garden, man, this grass would just overwhelm you immediately. It's a different challenge where you get winter to knock everything down. Then you can mulch it and just keep it really well mulched. And look at these. I think these are like peppers and things coming in, and all these sunflowers and these cucumbers and all this. I mean, this is just gorgeous to see growing here. And look at these cucumbers. Oh my. Like, they're already starting to flower. Look how verdant they are. I bet you he's going to get a whole bunch. And you see how it's nice and mulched under there with all these grass clippings. If you inoculate the IMOs into that and you make it happen, it's going to grow so well. So let's see here. Let me go back to this screen. And he sent me a whole bunch, so this one didn't work. Let's see here. Oh, check this out. He's getting the fish here, like these being pulled out of his pond. Like, how cool is that? Make your fish healthy. Now not only is he getting vegetables, you're also getting this fish from his ponds. And then here's, look at that nice fish they pulled out. And what a cool thing to be doing with your family here. His son, his daughter, pulling out these fish, having this great time. Like, how cool is that? Let's see, we got a couple more here. Oh, yeah, he was also sharing his IMO box here, which this one here, he says it's kind of rounding up like this. I don't know. To me, it almost looks like manures, but I'm not exactly sure. But he was saying that was kind of accumulating under. So here's his IMO box, and then it's starting to eat away, because good IMO, its favorite food is actually rock minerals and rocks. And so when it starts to grow out and it finds all this rocks, if there's any moisture, this is going to bloom out onto these rocks and start to digest this. Which is why I recommend you don't put this near like the foundation of your house or anything, because these IMOs here are starting to eat these rocks, this gravel, and it will, it'll compromise your foundation, because it'll turn all these rocks into like soluble minerals and things. So just do be careful. And it looks like he got a nice storage box here that he's keeping the IMOs in. You can see the floor there, but obviously some is leaking out, falling through. I'm sure he has good airspace in there. and it's starting to bloom out actually on the floor of his storage area. So kind of interesting to see and witness that and see how those different things are happening. And then there's one last, oh, this one, I don't think this one worked either. But one, yeah, so anyway, that was like, from Stonemason, great guy here, tunes in most weeks. I don't see him here today, but getting into it and being here. So I'll jump into a couple questions here, answer a few of these. See, so there's a few, and then I got a few more. Some other folks actually emailed me in Post Up Media. Joel down in Panama emailed me some microscope images, so we can look at those here and see, which is pretty cool. So in fact, let me just do that, and then I'll jump to the questions, because otherwise I get tied up in questions and then forget to get back to this. So I'm just going to transition over, and so these are sent in by Joel, Post Up Media, and look at this sweet fungus here. This nice picture, branching out fungus doing its thing, and then all these other things here are like bacterias and other things. Like this circle here is probably like a fungal spore of some sort. These things, spores out, and I'm not exactly sure. I should probably read, what does it say here? So this is from a fresh IMO 4 pile, 1/5 dilution, over 40 nematodes, 20 to 30 fungal hyphae, few amoebas, and found a bunch of LAB visible and other bacteria. Pretty happy with the result. I'm sure I can get it better with more IMO2 diversity, and we will. That's awesome, man. So check out this second photo. Yeah. So here again, this fungus, and if you look here on the fungus, you see these. I think this is the black striping segmentation that's happening, although I don't see another segment here. They should be at pretty even intervals. But if you do see segmentating fungus where they're segmenting like that, it's also another indicator of good fungal things to happen. So once he's taken it 1 to 5 dilution, shaking it up, all the bacterias, all these things, this stuff here is probably the media he's using, whether it's wheat bran or whatever, wood chips, dog food, whatever medium you've grown it out in. That's probably what these things are, just bits of that. But there's bacteria all clung to it. If you look into these things, you see all these bacteria clinging to this and eating it and making it bioavailable. But that's a nice piece of fungus, brown, greater than 3.5 micrometers wide. Looks like a great piece there. And then this here looks like it got to be a nematode, huh? Or it might be, I don't know, because I can't see it moving. It may be a bacterial feeding nematode, because sometimes bacterial feeders will eat here and then they fill it up in their stomach. Nice, what do you call, spore there and doing its thing. This here, fungal spore of some sort, little fungal chunk here. Yeah. I think it was a bacterial feeder, and so Post Up saying this thing was moving around, and it's a bacterial feeder because the way to tell is you look at its mouth here, and if you zoom in on its mouth, fungal feeders will have a spike, root feeders will have a big spike, and predatory nematodes will be much larger than this. But here, where it's a bacterial feeder, they're the smallest of the nematodes, and its mouth, it doesn't have any spike up here, so it's most likely it's a bacterial feeder, and you can see all the bacteria in its stomach. And the whole key, like one of the reasons you want to find nematodes is nematodes actually are what makes your system cycle. So if I go to this slide and say, okay, well, there's just bacterias, they're going to take all your nitrogen, all your material, and they're going to tie it up in their bodies. And it's like a fertilizer bag that still has the cover on. It's like it's protecting itself. It's not available. What happens is these nematodes, come and they eat all these nitrogen bags, or and they contain all kinds. Like, I'm just talking about nitrogen, but they contain the whole NPK array in these bags. Just like I'm full of nutrients, so are these bacteria. And when the nematode comes to eat them, it eats them, but it can only digest like one part of the nitrogen out of, like, say there's 5 parts nitrogen in a bacteria, and I'm just picking nitrogen, but this is true for every single thing. So I'll just say there's 5 parts of nutrients in this bacteria right here that I'm pointing at. Once the nematode eats it, it can only digest like one part of the nutrients, and then this nematode is going to poop, and the poop that comes out of this now has 4 parts of the nutrients left. And that's what then the plant roots are going to tie into, and that becomes soluble, available nutrients. So right here, like, you have in your root zone, you have it like this, where here's a root, and around it, it's putting out these exudates, and it's putting out these sugars. And right around there, it's going to cause a bunch of bacteria to start living. And then the nematodes are going to swim right into that high concentrated area of bacteria, and they're going to start munching away and eating. And they're also going to start laying the poops right there. And the roots are right there. So as they lay the poops of eating the bacterias, now the roots can absorb that available nutrients. Whereas before, if it's in the bacteria, it's kind of unavailable to the plant, but the nematode swims through it, eats the bacteria, it poops it out, and now it makes it soluble, but it makes it soluble right in the root zone. If it was further away from your root and it was pooping out here and it was soluble, then the water would come and it would flow and it would go away and it would just go into the ground or in a river or further away. But if you're feeding the bacteria right around the root zone, it's eating it, it's pooping it, now it's soluble, and it's going to go right into the root tissue, because the root's going to absorb this soluble nutrients right there. And that's the difference between, like, if I'm trying to do chemical fertilizer, I'm going to lay the chemicals like ubiquitously across the soil, and it's not near the root zone, right? And so then I lay the chemicals, and then they start to it kills off some of the fungus, and it makes it so that they don't want to reach out, and they don't, it's too salty for them, and they die off. And then my root zone is super tiny, and then the nutrients are solubilizing and liquefying over there, and it does me no good because they go right past my root and into the river, right? And then that causes algal blooms and all these other problems. But in natural farming, you're getting the bacteria right around the root, because that's where the sugars are coming out. And the bacteria are thriving there, and then the nematodes are swimming through there, and the protozoas, and they're eating all those little bacteria and pooping them right there. And then when the water comes, they go directly to the root, and it's not flowing into a river or flowing away from you. It's right there. And so that's the difference, and that's why having, not only having good bacteria and fungus to bring nutrients around, but also seeing good nematodes, which he's able to breed these nematodes in his IMO 4 process. By adding that good soil back, then you're able to breed these nematodes. Then when you put them back, now you're getting these nitrogen cycles and these the nutrient cycles system like operating. And so this is the whole point of, like, why does natural farming kick so much butt, and why are you able to, grow such great produce? It's because not only are you putting lots of bacteria which grow, but then you're putting the nematodes to get those things to cycle through, and it's putting it right in the zone where you need it. So this is the whole reason of why and what makes natural farming so good. I mean, look at this small piece of fungus here, all this microorganisms. It's like trillions of them, because he took his entire pile and took like a small bit, and then took that small bit, shook it up, and then diluted it, and then you're looking at that. So you're looking at just the most small slice of what he's created, and in this there's tons of living things. So let's go to the next photo and see what he got. This big spore here, and then this little piece of fungus, another piece of fungus there, most of the rest kind of bacteria eating humic acids, fulvic acids. This is probably a flagellate, I would bet, because if you look around, I don't see a bunch of hairs on it. I don't see it like a ciliate. but this is a protozoa, or it may be an amoeba too. He's talking about amoebas, and since I can't see it moving, it's hard for me to tell. But and then here's like little spores. You can see these other clear fungus over here. This fungus, that fungus. And when you're seeing this amount of fungus, you know that this is a good sample, because this is just one view looking into it, and you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures plus maybe that's another 5 here, I'd say, maybe another fungus right there, 6, maybe another one right there, 7. And then this, when you're seeing amoeba, you know, oh, it's a good healthy system, because you're able to get those higher orders of life forms growing in there. So it's good to see this. It's either a flagellum or it's an amoeba. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to tell here. And then here's another nematode swimming through. And then again, and he's probably looking at this at about 10 to 100 times, somewhere in there, versus, when you zoom in further and you look at these funguses here, you can see these fungi. And if you can see this fungus this big from this zoom, this is a really beneficial dark colored fungus hanging out there. And this fungus, and like this just looks like a really good sample. So your IMO batch is epic and really, really a good thing happening here. Here's another one. Look at this dark fungus. And again, this is a segmented fungus. So you see these dark segments here. That's a really good sign. This is a super beneficial fungus here. This one over here, that fungus, this fungus. Like when you see this one, it might be, when you're seeing this many, it's like, this is a good batch. You did really well. And all these spores that haven't hatched yet, like look at all those spores hanging out there. This fungus coming out here, usually they're attached into these things. And what's cool is if you threw a biochar into it, you'll see these fungus coming out of the biochar chunks. It's even cooler to do that. I mean, even cooler. This is pretty cool. Okay. So this is looking, and then here's this other nematode here. Again, I reckon this is a bacterial feeder. You got to zoom in on its mouth, but you see it's just a tube. It's not, there's no spike. The spike would look like a pike kind of thing, but in all this bacterial feeder, and it's eating all this bacteria. Again, another good fungus down here. The rest is kind of out of focus to see. Here's another good, awesome fungus with, again, the segments going through. You know that this is a good one, doing its thing. Really a nice sample there. And it looks like, those are all the photos he sent in. So pretty cool to see the the IMO under the microscope and see that. So thanks for sharing, Joel. Thanks, Post Up Media. Awesome, man. You talk about getting receptive and nourishment here of like receiving, because so often I talk about this stuff and then I see other people around the world making this, and this is what and what it's about. Am I do I have a hidden agenda? I don't think so. My only hidden agenda is to give you microscopic life, right? I guess all KNF people have a hidden agenda. It's like, it's my microbes. You can't see them, but my agenda is to make more microscopic life in my life, So it's kind of funny on that. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna, since there weren't too many comments here on this, I just wanna I'll go back through and read these, and I just got a comment here from Stonemason, and he's just saying, thanks for showing his pictures. The KNF, it works. The pictures you thought were manure is my IMO 4. My IMO 3 balls up the clay soil when it does its thing. Okay, so that's actually normal. So let me see if I can find that picture here again and just go back to that, because he's referencing it here of talking about that his IMO take his clay soil and actually form it into these balls. So that's actually, what, fungus will do that. It'll actually ball up your soil. So this is not manure, like I was saying. This is actually his IMO4 forming up into these like little nugget type things. And if you look at it, you can see they're, each of these are blooming out. These are like, you ever seen the bokashi balls, like the things that they put out and then they throw them into the ocean and stuff to bring back lakes and things. Like, let me just quickly look up bokashi balls. And yeah, like, so here, I just play.
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best,
commercials on
you
YouTube.
gotta try kachava.
I don't gotta try
Kachava
but let me just see here. This guy, let's see. Okay, so these guys are just making bokashi balls, like they're taking bokashi here, which is, an EM, but we're doing this with IMO, so it's indigenous, and then they're taking this material, soil, most likely they're going to pour it into this thing, and let's see, I always watch YouTube a bit faster, and then they're mixing their EM, which is kind of like our IMO. This is very similar to like our IMO process. So what we're doing, kind of mixing it together, mixing the microbes in with the dirt. It's like they're making EM4, like IMO4 type thing, adding, I think, molasses in there. And then they're forming up these balls, right? And then these are like super good inoculants. You can throw them into rivers, you can throw them into lakes. They kind of let these clay balls form out, and it looks to me like post up, the white fungus developing. See, the exact same thing that was happening. And then they're gonna throw them into the lake. See, so doesn't that look fun? I always thought, I don't know if you guys can hear me over the music. I'm not even sure if the music's coming through for you, but they're doing swale treatment. They're doing all these things. They're throwing these bokashi balls in, but he was able to make this same stuff, and this is IMOs doing that. So he's getting his indigenous microbes to do this, and because you put protectors and nutrients into the IMO when you're making them, you have all that too. And so this is a natural way that it's forming up when you have a highly clay soil and what's happening there. This is like amazing, right? Same concept with happening. And I always thought it would be cool that I used to play a lot of paintball when I was younger, and I used to, in college and stuff, I used to play paintball. I was pretty good at it. But I always thought, wouldn't it be cool to play paintball, but instead have the pellets made out of bokashi balls, and then invite people to go play, bokashi ball paintball out in like, these wastelands. And then after they're done playing paintball, all of a sudden you've left all this great material behind, and now a forest sprouts, and the native forest comes back because you put all this indigenous microbes back there. Now kids could be out there playing, like, not that we want to encourage people to, shoot each other. And like, I look at it and I'm like, oh man, no wonder America's so violent and, we're warriors conquering the earth. It's because we give our kids paintball to play and, shoot. But yeah, put native seeds in there, and put the bokashi paintball, and just go out and just have fun with your friends. Just pat, 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 like now the whole land would be covered with, delicious stuff instead of, I'm not sure, I think the paintballs are biodegradable and such, so a little bit better than airsoft, shooting those plastic pellets out there. But even make tiny ones for airsoft, and then, you're like shooting, like each one's like a cilantro seed. You're shooting just pat, 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 pat at your friends, it's like, or, I don't know. It all depends on how you come from, but kind of an interesting idea. Or maybe make them into like slings, people, and then sling at each other type thing, and just, to have fun playing around. But anyway, these samples, these bokashi balls, whole thing that may happen out there. So hey, and Jennifer, thanks for the super chat. Awesome. Yes, keeping it alive here, and thanks for saying I'm amazing. I love it. It's good stuff there. So I want to go back up to the beginning of the chat, and crab grows. Sorry for getting to this late. I know you guys are here early, but you got those receptive things, and as opposed to talking, more receiving today. So But he's saying, is black soldier fly larva a bad sign in the disgustingly cheap food? And no, it's not. So I'll pull that up here. I'm not sure if I have it loaded. I might. Let me just put it over here and pull it up for you guys. Where the disgustingly cheap food, or he's also calling it JLF, which is a the other vocabulary for this liquid fertilizer here, and you're putting a bunch of stinky ass grasses, weeds, whatever, wide variety of grasses, weeds, plants, stuff them into this barrel, fill it with water, put a handful of rich soil in there. And if you get soldier flies living in here, it's okay. They're breaking this down. They're simplifying it. They're making it more simple. That's all what you want. The soldier flies themselves will be using some of your nutrients and then flying away, but it's not a big deal. Just keep loading more grass, more things, and if you want, just sink the soldier flies down and drown them, and then they'll start to break down in here, and they'll release their nutrients, and you'll get fatty lipids and all those things. So if you have soldier flies living in here, don't worry about it. It's gross. It's supposed to be gross, and that's just what it is. So no problem with that. Crab grows. Okay, and then he says, sorry, I actually mean fermented plant juice extract. So if you're going, however, if you have them and they're living in a KNF food, which is like this recipe, and after you've mixed sugar, plant material together, you've packed it 2/3 full, then you poured off the liquid that came off, and if you have soldier flies living in here, it can kind of be a bummer because this stuff is worth a lot. The sugar and everything you put in there, they're gonna take these nutrients and leave. And unlike the other solution, you don't want to just drown them in here. Odds are you have a little bit too much liquid in there. You maybe want to add a little bit more sugar and make sure it's super saturated. I can't 100% say that, but also that's why when I'm done and I have this liquid that's poured off, after super saturating it, I put a solid lid on it because I don't want soldier flies to get in there. So that's what I do, so crab grows, if they're in your your fermented plant juice, your KNF food, try and get them out of there. And or start a new batch, and sorry about that, but so it happens. Okay. So Mike Carlos, hello from Texas. I just started my journey into KNF a few months ago. It's going to be interesting to try and find IMOs in the desert. You probably hear me say this all the time, each time. But I've talked about this a whole bunch, and if you search, you can go here to microbialsecret.org, and then under episodes here, this one here, Desert KNF, episode 24, and then the other one by Sam, let's see here, episode 32 here, Irrigation Without Water, Polymorphism with Bechamp. Both these guys are in the desert, and we talked a whole lot about natural farming in the desert and how to do it. And then also the other resource, again, you can go to knfsupport.com and search the office hours. So if you want to search the office hours specifically, you can actually search here and desert, and there's a whole bunch of folks here. I was wondering how to, bag soil in the desert. So IMO collection in dry climates during drought, collecting in Southern California. Or if you want to specifically find an office hours with this, you can click on this office hours here. And then this search bar here will search the office hours, and you can search for desert. And, it looks like it was talked about, here at KNF in the high desert. Here, this one, let's see. It's not the best because it doesn't highlight the word desert when I do it, but you can also just use the find and search desert. and find the next one. No, that's desertion. Let's see. Oh no. Well, how do we collect IMOs in the desert? Minute 11 here on the December 5th. And then if you go down, I'm sure it's talked about again, because I do get this question fairly often about the desert. And so, again, just finding where I talked about desert here. Story about Master Cho reforesting the Gobi Desert to make rich soil. So this was in the September 26th episode. And here it is, so lots of resources already talking on the desert. So help you out, Mike, and get you started on your journey and get those things going for you. So Mike or Mitchell here is saying, I'm about to invest into a half dozen or so pigs, but I'm not sure if I want to raise them in a greenhouse or build a traditional KNF livestock structure. Let me see. Pictures of my my livestock barn. I'm not sure if I have any, but I got a Conway greenhouse is what I have, and then I built the split roof so it sucks the air out the top. But another person to check out besides just mine. Let's see. I think let's see here, the livestock. I guess you can sort of see my roof here. It goes up that way, and then there's a gap in the center, and it comes down, and it's it's a 36 feet across by 72 feet long, and I have 4 pig pens in there. And then here's another system where these folks kind of built it in. But yeah, my system kind of looks like that, where it's east and west and coming through. But another person to check out for livestock here is Spencer Karren on like the Facebook here. So let me just find him. Here, Spencer. I'll move him over on this side. Oh, you guys weren't even looking. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I guess you guys couldn't even see my barn when I was showing it, but here you can see my barn. It's going up and coming down, split roof here, and then I built the pig pens into the floor. And then my other buddy Spencer here, he's been doing the pigs. So if I look through his photos here, just briefly, let's see, he's been doing a bunch of stuff. But I'm pretty sure I have pictures of his pigs here. Let's see. Going down. I don't think he's advertised it for a while, but he was doing pigs. These look like old photos. He's a wild man. He's one of my real good buddies. He came out to my wedding and helped officiate it. And let's see, is there any pictures of his pigs? I don't know. He did it after he came out to Hawaii, so it was somewhat recent. But if you're looking, this is when he was here in Hawaii. Look at this. They came to Rainbow Falls, him and Earl. That's awesome. Here's his pig pen. So here, he built it just like this. He put in some clear panels, but, pretty homemade type of thing that I think they just welded up to build. And this is his pig pen doing it here. So I'm not sure if he has any other pictures of it. No, it doesn't. But so anyway, yeah, lots of good tips for doing it, of what to do. If you do it in a greenhouse, then you can plant it later. That's a good thing. Okay, so Crab Grows is saying, I've been making a hybrid of KNF JADAM fruit ferment with LAB and sorghum molasses. The fruit is banana, papaya, and avocado. Would you give your opinion on what I'm doing? My plants love it. So it's KNF JADAM fruit ferment. One thing I want to clarify is that JADAM is KNF, and that there's Master Cho methods, there's Young Song methods. They're all Korean natural farming. I know people try and be like KNF and JADAM, thinking that KNF is just Master Cho's, but it's actually a conglomerate of all this Korean natural farming, which even includes like the chitinase, gelatinase microbes. All this stuff's come out of Korea. It's all Korean natural farming here. So um, fruit ferment with labs. It sounds like you're just making a what they call like fermented plant extract, and it'll work. It's just not as potent as something like when you go through and you make this type of recipe here. This is the exudates, and this is really concentrated good stuff. The way you're doing it sounds cheaper and easier and more along the lines of like a JLF, where you're mixing it in with lacto and those things. It's more along the lines of like what they call a fermented plant extract. And yeah, an FPE, like the Goofman's saying here later. And it just isn't as shelf stable. You can use it right away. But this is more concentrated, has more of the growth hormones, enzymes. It's not to say there's not nutrients in what you're doing, and there is. And as we head into more of a low energy future where sugar's harder to come by, I think the methods you're using are going to be more better, actually. Better because it doesn't cost you as much overhead. As we come into this like global famine that's upon us, I think in energy shortage, I think the methods you're talking about where you're just putting all these things in and using LAB and molasses to extract, you're going to get good results. It's not the same. It's not as concentrated, but plants do respond and they love it. And it's true. Even just putting molasses on your plants, and they'll love it up to a certain degree when you cause too much bacterial overgrowth. And, you just need to balance all those things with vinegars, with maintenance, all the structure of the medicine. Those things really help. But, as we go into like a harder energy situation, whatever you got's going to work. And so having these ideas will be great. And then 808 Shibi is asking, can you prolong the viability of JMS beyond 5 days? The answer is no. If you look at the graph for the disgustingly cheap microbes, basically what ends up happening here is in the beginning your worker microbes are growing, but then these zombie kill death anaerobic microbes are coming in. So the first are fermentation microbes, then these are putrefaction microbes coming in. So as soon as it passes this threshold where your worker microbes start to die off because there's not enough oxygen, then the fertilizer zombie anaerobic microbes take over. And so you end up in this. That's why you can't preserve it longer than 3 to 5 days. And if you think, oh, I'm going to bubble it and I'll do it that way, it's just not worth it. It's better to just make a new batch each time and to do it. And even putting it in the fridge, it's not going to work. The problem is there's too much liquid. There's too much water. And when you have too much water, it creates these anaerobic conditions, and these microbes, your worker microbes start to die off, and then the other zombie microbes take over. So you can keep it longer and it'll turn into a fertilizer. But if you want the worker microbes, you got to get it early before these guys start to die off and before these guys start to take over. So there's really no way to preserve it longer than 5 days. Yeah, so, okay, so have I ever heard of a maize that produces a gel on the tips of brace roots to attract nitrogen fixing bacteria? Yes, I mean, crab growers, that's how most plants are working. Not only just a maize, but they all produce these gels and these exudates, they're called, around their leaf. So if you look up, exudates, you'll find that that all plants are producing this. And the answer here is that it's a mass of cells and fluid that has seeped out of blood vessels or an organ, especially in inflammation, a substance secreted by a plant or insect. So each of them are putting out these exudates here to do this. So So it's happening. And let's see here. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, crab grows. There's a worldwide awakening happening. I would sure hope so. I mean, although, some people are like, I'm woke. I'm like, I'm slept. Oh, that's funny. Okay, mushrooms coming up everywhere in the garden. Spread IMO first time April this year, and that's stonemason, the kind gentleman that sent us all those photos. He's talking about just how mushrooms are popping up everywhere, and it's like, look at your mycelia. It's just epic. You've grown amazing, great IMO. When you put it out there, it just kickstarts everything. Now your whole land is going to come to life. Your whole thing is now a bioregion that's sequestering carbon, slowing down the nitrogen cycle, bringing stability to the soil, growing better plants. That's the benefit of putting IMO4 out, and you're seeing it. It's amazing. It's great. I love it. So Post Up is asking, adding 2 pigs above. Can we house pigs and chickens under one roof? Planning a 12 by 12 pen for 20 chickens and 3 to 4 pigs, with a 6-foot hallway in between. A standard roof live floor at 30 by 12. Okay, so I'm not sure I exactly understand this because there's a lot of information here. So let's see. So a 12 by 12 pen for 20 chickens and 3 to 4 pigs. That'll work. As long as you're not going to grow those, you're just going to raise them to market weight of the pigs. One thing that can happen is the pigs may eat your chickens if you're not careful. But the chickens eat the pig manure, which is great. And live floor. So a 30 by 12, it sounds like you're going to put 2 pens in. I'm not exactly sure here, but I don't know. I'm going to do a livestock talk on the 18th, and I'll cover a lot of that. I'll make a video and share it with you guys, but I'm going to do a livestock talk down at Hawaiian Sanctuary. I realize I haven't really talked too much about livestock, and I'm one of the, I've been doing it for years, so I'm like one of the more experienced people in America doing livestock. My pigs, built it in 2012 and been doing this for a long time. So, so anyway, pretty funny comments from you guys. And making the food here. Let's see. Yeah, utilize as much of the plants. A root ferment, that would be the same as a leaf ferment of, adding about half the weight of sugar to it if you're going to do that. I don't know. Crab Grows was asking about that. Yeah. Yeah, and then Post Up's talking about trying to get the ferments, the enzymes, so can I please have the KNF recipe book PDF? The recipe book is available at knfsupport.org, or .com, excuse me, knfsupport.com. So if you go to KNF Support, you can just Google it or DuckDuckGo it or whatever, it'll take you to knfsupport.com. And then right here, you can click to get the PDF of the book. You just click here, takes you to this website. This is Natural Farming Hawaii, my actual, my website. The other is run by our foundation, so they link to the book, and then you can download it from there. So, okay, so let's see here. Okay, so I've had biochar soaking in a barrel of compost tea for 2 weeks. I've been busy and haven't gotten to it. Can I use the LABs to balance out the effects of the anaerobic bacteria that it's soaking in? Yeah, You know, if it's soaking for that long, it's fine. If you just take it out of the, you know, dry it out, it'll once it dries out, it'll get exposed to oxygen again, and most things will come out. You could also LF. You could also soak a little, you know, make like a you know 1 to 500 LAB solution and soak it into that for a day or so, and it would eat out the anaerobes and make it you know viable for mammals. You know, they're the protectors, so they'll go get out any gross things. So either way, just even drying it out would be fine because the microbes will continue to live, the good ones, as they get exposed to oxygen, and the other ones won't. So yeah, that's fine. If it, in also your nose knows, if it smells really stinky, then put some LAB on it. If it smells okay and it doesn't smell like gross, like vomit or dead animals or, you know, poop or anything, then you should be okay. Okay, and then the living man is saying, I should know this already, but how long does it take to get each IMO? And if you're talking about, like, if I go to the book here and I look at the different stages of microbes, like this page here kind of talks about it, but let's see here, I transition this over. And if I'm going for the seed IMO collection, for me here in the tropics, this takes about 5 days of putting the hard-cooked rice with the 1/3 airspace into my box and burying it under the soil with the leaf litter into the soil layer. It takes about 5 days for me to do it. It says here between 60 hours and 11 days, depending on temperature. It takes about 5 days for me, typically. 1 second. Oh. And then this stage here of preserving your seed IMO takes about 3 days of just putting the microbes in, and they'll stabilize within 3 days. And then this stage here takes about to go to a propagated IMO takes about 7 to 11 days, where it goes up, and you got to keep the temperature below 120 as it turns using this recipe here. And then again, when you add in equal parts of soil in your previous step plus these liquids again, this again takes about 7 to 11 days to keep it under 120 and turning it during that time. So total is, you know, 11 plus 11 plus 3 plus 7 or plus 5. So 8 plus 22 is about 30 days or so. It takes about a month to get the soil activated IMO number 4 if you wanted to go that far and to do it. So it takes a little bit. Oh, thanks. Hey, yeah, bless me. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't die from sneezing this time. So I'll do it as the lights come on though. Okay, so I found the website. Process works. You have to trust it. It does. It's amazing. It works in all climates, all places, all things. So you're saying all under one roof, side-by-side pens. You know, so let me just show you quickly here if I can pull this up. Hang on. Oh, I'm sure. Let me just transition to this so I can find what I'm looking for here, which is my channel here. And if I go down on my channel, I'll transition you guys back to this one. So if I go down on the channel here and I'm looking at the basic swine training. Let's see. I think it's actually in the basic poultry training here. And let me just pause this one and go down to where these are at Master Lee's farm. Oh no, we went to Muju already. It's looking at some of the feeds. Hang on. It's hard to find things live and online like this when I'm doing it live, but basically if you look at some of these here, you'll see Mr. Lee's farm, the quail farm, where, let's see, this is building all this stuff. But these pens here that we're in, he was gonna run some chickens and pigs in these same chicken pens. So let's see here. I can see, you know, the pens are about I 12 feet long, 12 feet wide, and about 24 feet long. I don't know. I got the exact dimensions somewhere else, but like I said, if I go through the livestock talk, I'll have all this, because I actually have to make a presentation and do all this and focus on it and bring it from just hand waving, like look at these videos, to actually, like, I want to explain it to folks. But he was running pigs and chickens in there, and it's totally possible to do. You just got to watch out that your pigs don't eat your chickens. But if you train them up well enough, they should be okay. And you keep them, I used to have a rooster living with one of my pigs for a long time. And they didn't eat her, or him. She didn't eat him. That's a better way of saying it. So I'll get back to you maybe in 2 weeks' time and let you know about that for all these dimensions and the feeds, because I get a lot of questions on the livestock and I just need to sit down and do that. I'll take a couple more questions here, which is the living man is saying, so I start my IMO collection here in the fall. It's best to do your IMO collection in the spring, just because that's when the microbes are more active, but you can do it in the fall, no problem. And then put it out before winter should be yes, because it'll grow all winter with the snow and everything, and like the moisture in winter to let it get into the ground, so that when you come next spring, it'll sprout up even better and be that much better for you. So yeah, put them out before winter if you can. It'd be even better. That extra moisture, everything, and after you put them out, put maintenance solution a couple times, follow the soil foundation procedures to do this. So yeah, and you're saying starting collecting IMO in the Northeast. Yeah, do it now while you still have warm enough temperatures to do it. Feel free to do it. And you may just have to leave your collections out longer. Tomato 33 is saying, it takes a bit longer, so it does. Natural Farming Hawaii is my page. I mean, that's my personal website. That's been running that for years, and now I'm involved with a foundation, so I got a few other things. And do I know anyone who's doing it in Senegal? No, but we are getting we just had a meeting the last couple days. I've been meeting about getting our foundation to help put our directory up and get people linked of where they're at and where they're at. So, cool. So that ant stole all this fall seeds. You stole it out. Okay. So, Crab Grows is currently going to Oregon State University for a degree in horticulture, and my professors have been loving when I use the natural farming. I have a heavy respect for the crisis we face, but part of me can't wait for HOA to fall apart so I can have a single home livestock. Yeah, I made a joke the other day where I was like, the Rastaman are always out there like, burn down Babylon, and then finally Babylon falls, and then the one Rasta says to the other, do you have any ruling paper, man? And he's like, no, man. He's like, bring back Babylon. It's like we profit a lot from the slave system that's out there, and all of us working, like, global trade is awesome, and right now with that coordination, it's like, we love it, we hate it, but it's certain things are really nice. So anyway, I want to just thank you guys for tuning in, and working on these things, getting them together, continuing to do my work over this week, tuning in to be receptive to your land, seeing what's going on, receiving so that you can give these things a place to grow, tuning into the microbes, learning the lessons that are coming from there, and tuning in and all this. So again, I want to thank the Pure KNF Foundation, because I was just chatting with Suze the other day, and which I was like, man, without the foundation's sponsorship, I don't think I would still be doing this office hour, because I was looking at my YouTube, income, and thanks for the super chat today, Jennifer, but I'm like, it's like $75 over a month of what I'm getting, and I'm like, is it really worth my time to be putting out all this YouTube and all these things? And it probably wasn't, I'd average it out to be like, less than $20 an office hour of me doing this. And I'm like, man, I could be doing more other stuff that's more profitable to me. But more than that, I really appreciate, the community we've been growing. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I do appreciate that I am, getting, help from the Pure KNF Foundation to do this, pureknf.org. Great folks running that, building more things all the time, sponsoring the office hours, the newsletter, bringing on research. So, you want to find out research, find all this stuff, click on a research link, all the University of Hawaii studies, all these studies at Konkuk University, all these things coming together, sharing that, hosting it with the world, making it something that we can all tune into. And of course, they also sponsor KNF Support, which is this great question and answer system set up for us. And they help these office hours happen. So just want to thank everybody and everybody out there who's doing their best to bring natural farming to the world. May it enrich you, enrich your neighbors, enrich everybody. And so, if you want to appreciate it later, you can hit that thanks. You can also send some money or just do it. Either way, it's like, I kind of wish I was rich and famous. Not famous, but rich, where it's like have enough money to just be like, yay, and spend a lot of money towards this. But, I know you guys are out there in the struggle too, and we're all doing it. So I just want to thank you, and just became produce certified Reno, Nevada to use KNF. Awesome. So the more of this we do, the more legitimate we make it, it's better. So go do what you do. I'll see you next week. I'll be here, August 14th, Sunday, 9 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. What's up, Flat Eric? And hope you're having a great week and things are growing well for you. As always, long live the natural farmer. Love you guys. Aloha.